Okay, I talk loud anyway, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. I know the mayor is supposed to come. My name is Stacy Cantu. I'm the Daytona Beach Commissioner for Zone 4. I think most of you out here already know me because I go out to my community quite often. I called this meeting today. This is not the required meeting regarding the golf course. I just want to make sure everyone knows this. I called this meeting to help you guys understand before they have the required meeting, so you're very well prepared. First of all, there's a few things we're going to talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is the golf course. And golf course. Okay. The subject property, most of you already know, it's 91.8 acres. Can you hear me on Zoom out there? Okay. The current use for the property, there's a driving range, putting greens, practice golf holes, and vacant undeveloped land. Okay, the future land designation, there's retail, if you see it down below, I don't have a pointer, the retail over here, and then office transition. The zoning took place for the LPGA DRI in 1995. The office and the retail is about 12.62 acres. And we're going to get into a little bit about that because some new development has just occurred on that. Okay, so everyone knows that the developer has come in and they want to do some building on part of that golf course. We have been negotiating with them, me and some of the presidents of HOA, and they have come to agreement of 144 total single family, which is allowed up to 504 units. Okay. Hold on. Okay. I keep saying okay. Okay, I just want everyone to know that the retail and, let me see, where am I at? Okay, the retail and the office transition, it requires a land use designation to lower the density, and that's why the developer is coming. Because I told you before, it allows up to 504 units. Well, also the retail and the office transition that they wanted to develop, there's a little bit about that I want to tell you guys because there's a new law that just went into effect as well. And right now, the comprehension plan for that is zoned for retail and office transition. So a motel could be built right in the middle of your community, but it's zoned for single family, okay? But by Florida statute 163.3194, the comprehension plan has to match the zoning plan. Okay, so if that came before the commission, we would have to prove that by state statute. Okay, now there's a new law that just took effect that a lot of you probably are not aware of. It's Senate Bill 102, the Live Local Act. And that was signed by the governor. That will take effect July 1st, where a developer without approval from the commission can come in and build 40% of affordable housing for 30 years on industrial, commercial, or mixed use. And we have no control over the density or the building height of that new development below the highest limit. So that means that the office transition and retail, could a developer come in and build affordable housing in the middle of your community? Absolutely. We would have nothing to say. Home rule was stripped from us. So when you do have your meeting with the developer that's wanting to do some developing on that golf course, you do need to think about that, because you might want to negotiate a little bit if you can, or you might want to take your chances. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but a developer can come in without city commission and develop retail and the office transition part. What we were able to do, negotiating with the developer and the owner of the golf course, he originally wanted to have 54 townhomes. We can get up there. Oh, that's extension. He originally wanted to have 54 townhomes. We were able to negotiate for 35 single-family homes, which that would be more consistent with your neighborhood. Now, down below, over there where the retail is, he is wanting to do 109 single-family. He will not go any lower. I actually called and see if I could talk him out to go even lower, which I told you originally, it's allowed up to 504. So he decided 109. Also, by talking to some of the community, they wanted maybe a proposed pocket park or undeveloped land. And that would be over by the retail over there. And that would be up to you. If it's undeveloped land, a developer cannot come back in later and decide to develop, because it would be in the PD. If you decide to have a pocket park, I can tell you that's kind of a good thing. I mean, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. When you have a pocket park, within 1,000 feet, a sex offender by state law cannot live near your, which 1,000 feet is about three football fields, excuse me. And with another park that I'm going to be talking about coming in, actually, you'll be kind of safe. And I don't know if you remember years ago, Bayberry Community, they have 2 pocket parks, one in the front and the back, because of that same reason. And I know I heard some concerns about, oh, a pocket park, well, people coming from other neighborhoods. Well, Bayberry doesn't have that problem. Really, who's going to want to come to your neighborhood for a pocket park with another park getting ready to come in? I'm trying to think if I covered everything on that, and I'm going to take questions afterwards, so if you do have questions, please hold them, and I will take some questions afterwards on this. But I hope you guys pretty much understand what can be done. They will be having there's another thing that some of the residents asked. They wanted phases. Okay, they have agreed to do phases, but to be honest with you, whatever they're going to do is probably not going to be to at least 2.5 years, because they have to have the required meeting. It has to go through planning. It has to go through first reading and second reading. But they have agreed to do phases on there. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the extensions, because that's what a lot of people are worried about, more traffic. And if I can find my notes. Okay, so the Dunn extension, Dunn is a county road, not a city road. And that's that'd be west of I-95 Tomoka Farms Road, overpass east to LPGA Boulevard. And that project includes the new bridge over the Tomoka River. On that sheet I gave you of all the development, you'll see INA Group. I did pass that one, and the reason I passed that one, they lowered the density from 1,000, I believe, 1,830 units to 344. And the INA Group is going to pay up to their right-of-way on the Dunn extension. The county, I believe the beginning of March, I was watching the meeting, and they just approved the design for the Dunn extension. Then you got the Grand Champion connection over here, and you'll see that. And that one is going to be a city road. That will be initiated, which it has already started, by the different developments coming in. And no, the red is the Dunn, the green was the Grand Champion. Okay. Then you'll see the LPGA to ISB connection, which you'll see that one going in. And then how many people went to the February 28th, raise your hands, the meeting on February 28th for the LPGA? Okay. I'm going to explain a little bit so a lot of you didn't go to that meeting. I'm on the TPO. I represent Daytona. Each city has someone that represents their city, and I represent that. They had a meeting with the PD&A study, in which I can give you, if you come see me or email me, a YouTube link where you can go look at that whole entire study they did. But I'm trying to remember when we did that. I believe it was last March. The TPO, we decided to move up the project from, I do have it, 2031, from 2031 to 2035 to 2021, 2025 cycle for the design and the engineering. We also put $7 million towards the right-of-way, and actually getting the money for the right-of-way was a big obstacle. So, and we do not have money for the construction yet. And the reason you don't have money for the construction, because I hear people saying it all the time, because the design has to be complete before the state knows how much it's going to cost for the construction. And with that meeting, they said about 3 years. I'm going to say about 4 years till that gets widened, maybe 5. And I know all these other extensions are going to have to be in place before they widen LPGA. And LPGA is not a city road as well. That's a county road, but the state has taken over the project. Let me go to the next. Oh, okay. Most of you have a copy of this. Who all knows who Officer Rayner was? Raise your hand. Okay. Each commissioner was given $250,000 in COVID relief fund to do what they want to do for their community. And this was one of my projects I decided to do. And actually, we just recently approved another $250,000. And I like to let the residents know what I've done with my money. The city has, I believe, about 34 acres of land over there, which is on the map, and it's close to Tournament and LPGA. There was 2 pieces of property over there that was already cleared that butt up to the city land. And actually, just so I don't take all the credit, the mayor wanted a park on the west side. And when I found out the 2 pieces of property that butts up to that, I actually started negotiating with the people that owned the 2 parcels. And I was able to, I had appraisals done on both properties. They were both 2 acres apiece, about $100,000 apiece. I started negotiating with the property owners, and I was able to get both properties for $130,000, which I was able to save the residents $55,000. And I did that negotiating. It's just so I want to let you know. Okay, and then I went to the commission because we all talked about wanting to do something for Officer Rayner. So at first I went to the chief here and asked his blessing to name the park Rayner's Park. He went to the family and got their blessing, and then the commission approved to name it Rayner's Park. Right now I'm in the process with the police union. They are setting up a 501c3 so we can collect funds for a monument for this park. The survey has already started in March and should be completed in July of this year. The concept planning, September to November of this year. And then it will go into commission input, which between December 2023 and January 2024. And the design should happen February of next year. And construction should start June of 2025. So I'm looking forward to this park. And I know my vision of the park is to try to keep as much of the land. And I know we don't have a lot of kids on the west side because I vision like bike trails. And so we do have a lot of people that are older that like riding the bikes and stuff. I'm hoping some picnic tables, pavilions out there. So this is my vision, but I would love your input as well. Excuse me? We haven't started that yet, that input, but I'll answer questions afterwards. But that is our vision. That's why we scooped up the property, so there was no more development over there. Yes. Actually, I think it's close to Vicky's home, she told me, so she can tell you exactly where it's at. Okay, another thing, when I first got elected, all I heard was cell phone connection. And having a son who actually lived out there, he just recently sold his house, I know I had no connection. And going to all these meetings out here, no cell phone connection. So I remember, I believe it was my second week getting elected, I asked, could we get a cell phone out there? I was told we don't do cell phones. I said, well, will you give me property? And I was told yes. So I actually called some friends in Tallahassee. They put me in contact with a lot of the carriers and talked to them. It was on the radar, but not for a while. So we got all those connections, and then the city put out RFP, and the cell phone tower got delayed a little bit because it was going to be at the stadium. We needed it at least 180 feet to 200 feet. Well, it couldn't be at the stadium. So they were trying to think of another area. I knew Bayberry did not want a cell phone tower over there. So I went to Drew, our chief of police. So the cell phone tower will be at the fire station over here on LPGA. And I do have some good news because I just got an update. They have started the construction. The drilling work has begun 60 feet down for the pool. And the contractor is submitting the $100,000 payment. And it was awarded to Diamonds, if anyone wants to know. I don't have a timeline exactly yet when it's going to be finished. And please don't quote me, but I'm thinking at least 4 months from now. But don't quote that. Don't come back at me and say, oh, you promised. I'm not promising. So just keep up. I know I get a lot of emails asking me, just email me and I'll keep giving you updates. And I do put it out on my social media. Okay, Timber Creek Village. I know I see a lot of familiar faces in here. I had a meeting, I believe it was last month, regarding the Timber Creek Village. Let me get my paper. And I'm just going to go briefly over this again. Oh, here we go. Okay. I know I had some concerns with people that live on Medosa. I'm trying to stay next to this mic. Live on Medosa. I received some emails, and I about flipped out too when they showed me some pictures, and they had this beautiful backyard with all these woods and deers, and then all of a sudden, they're looking at LPGA and totally cleared land. So actually, I called staff. I said, we have to have a talk. Went into staff, and I found out some information. I think I told a lot of you at the last meeting. On Medosa, there will be a retention pond. Well, first, there will be a buffer. If you can see, there's a buffer right there, and then the developer is required by law 10-foot buffer right there, and they get to pick from 3, see if we can get to that. Okay, they get to pick from 3 of those options in our land development code. I know most of you wanted a wall. I have stressed that, but I do not have the say, but I have stressed your concerns, whoever lives on Mendoza. Okay. Then there is a storage unit. There is a retention pond after that buffer, and then you got 190 feet before you see the storage. So I just want to let you know, because a lot of people thought that storage was going to be right in the backyard, which it's not. And you also, when that wall or whatever the buffer they're going to put up, you can also put a buffer up as well. Then I did have some concerns over, let's see if I can go back. What am I doing? Okay, over by the fire station. Right now, they don't know what is going to be built over there. Maybe we've heard some rumors of a 7-Eleven. But there is some wetland that can't be developed. I've talked to the couple owners over there. I actually don't see them here. Oh, yes, I do see her here tonight. So there is a buffer, and she knows all about that. So, because I think there was only 3 houses that were affected, correct? 2, okay. 2 houses. And I had at the last meeting about the apartments, I think it was 300 and something apartments, and they were worried about it being affordable apartments. That is totally false. It is not affordable apartments over there. Some things I do not know that's coming in. You already know about the storage unit. There was a reviewing for a site plan for our Riley Auto Parts, some site plans for Starbucks, and that's over by the 340 units, a Chase Bank. There's some rumor about Heartland Dental, but not sure if that's going to be coming in. Florida Healthcare and a Big Dan's Car Wash, but this is not set in stone. So. Okay. At the last meeting I had with HOA, I brought this in, and most of you should have copy. This is something that I had staff prepare for me personally, and I think it really helps the residents because I had to learn about a lot of this development. If you see, because I had a lot of people saying, oh, you just keep rubber stamping everything, and that's not true. Most of this stuff was zoned between, if you look at this, 1995 to 2000. And so a lot of this development you're seeing coming in has already been approved. And this helped me a lot, and it's helped my residents, so that's why I brought it. I think some of you already have this, but at my last LPGA meeting, I was asked, where is all these properties located? So now you have a map, and I will be giving this out to all my LPGA communities on LPGA. So this will help you. So when you see a development, you can go back just like I do, go, oh, okay. Timber Creek Village, zoned May 3rd, 2006, and it says 400 units, I believe. So now you can go back and look at this. Okay, so we went through the golf course, we went through Timber Creek, Rayners Park, the cell phone tower, and now I'm just going to briefly, before we start letting you guys ask questions, I'm just going to briefly let you know what I've done with my COVID relief money that each commissioner was given, because I like them to know how I'm spending it. Okay, in 2021, the city received $7.5 million in ARPA funds, and we just approved another $1.875 million. There is different We have different small business grants, affordable housing grants, hurricane grants. There's a whole bunch of different things, but each commissioner was given $250,000 the first round, and then the second round, another $250,000. Except the mayor over here was given, I think, $350,000. But let's welcome the mayors here too, Derek Henry. Okay, so I've already told you about the property that I purchased for Raynos Park. This is just starting to happen, and actually, the First Step Shelter, you're the president of the board of the First Step Shelter. We have some panhandling signs going up. I think they just put 2 up right now over by the boardwalk. I know we got some going up on Bevel because I'm having a problem over there. Back last year of August, the sheriff teamed up with the First Step Shelter with a new hotline called 386-999-HELP. And a resident, and we're trying to spread the word, a resident or business, if you see someone that's in need, you can call that hotline and they will send a deputy out and someone from the sheriff's department to talk to them to see if they're a candidate for the First Step Shelter. Also, the QR code, which is a lot bigger, you'll see on the signs, it automatically connects to the city website where you can give your donation directly to the First Step Shelter. Because when you're giving money to a homeless person, you're just enabling them for a short period of time, and it's not a long-term solution. Recently, my other $250,000, the fire chief got a grant, and I spent my $250,000 for a fire vessel boat, which is much needed in our community for the safety. We have a lot of water in Daytona Beach. And I know I'm missing some, oh, there we go. Something was a campaign promise, and I'm very proud because I come from a veteran family, for finding a place for our veteran museum. And we found a place. The commission agreed. It's over at 302 Vermont Avenue. We gave them a 20-year contract at $10 a year with an option another $10. I gave them 20, and this was a commission vote. I gave them $20,000 to start the museum, and I also paid for this monument out of my COVID relief fund, which I'm very proud of it. If you ever get a chance, and if you ever get a chance, they're having their 1-year anniversary on June 3rd at 11 o'clock. Go over and take a look. It's amazing. I got papers everywhere, you guys. Another thing that's being done, welcome signs. And there's going to be one placed on Bevel and Williamson, which Bevel 400 is a county road, so it's in the process with county. Most all of our roads are state or county roads. Bevel is a state road, excuse me. So the first one will go up there. Then the second one will be up on ISB, and then we should have one up on LPGA as well. And we're in the process, so there'll probably only be one at a time going up, and I think the first one will be going up on Bevel. These are pretty much, it looks kind of orange here, but it's more yellow. These are kind of our city colors, and FDOT has approved this. I feel like I'm missing something with, another thing, Commissioner Henry, I have one school in my zone, zone 4, and that's Champion. Commissioner Henry had this great idea, and she bought these big book vending machines, and she has placed them in 2 of her schools in her zone. And I loved it, and I copied her. So recently, Champion just got a book vending machine, and it's done by coins. The teacher, I think it was like $5,600. The teachers can give a coin to the student if they're doing good in the recyclable coins and go in and pick out a book. Margaritaville helped me raise funds. I think they raised about a little bit over $1,000. And then the Daytona Beach Fire Department actually supplied books too to that. And I think that is it. So now we can ask some questions. Are you gonna be my mic?
Yes, ma'am.
Lady over there in the white shirt.
Thank you. Stacy, can you bring up the slide for Timber Creek showing the dry pond?
Right there.
So I live at 180, which is right in the middle of that dry pond.
Yes.
I cannot see how they're going to put a buffer up between us and that dry pond, which, if I'm standing at my back door, it starts probably where the front row is. And it's a berm, a very large berm, so it's become like a dam in the back of our houses. And our concern is the water runoff from our roof that usually runs out to the back of the house is now going to be dammed by this massive berm that is surrounding the entire dry pond. And there's nowhere to put that buffer. So I would like, if you could get clarification, because we think the buffer is going after the dry pond.
Okay, there is a buffer going after as well, but let's go back to it. Right here, where Medosa is, there's a 10-foot buffer that has to go before that retention pond. And like I told you, we have no control what the developer picks. I know most of you wanted a wall.
Whatever
You
works.
did. I have stressed that wall. But this is the buffer that, the 3 that they can pick from, and that'll be 10 foot. Now you have the retention after the buffer, the retention pond, then you have 190 feet to the storage, which I heard the storage, thank you, I heard the storage as well has a wall there. So I'm kind of not thinking they're going to pick that wall for their buffer, but I'm stressing for you, the wall.
How, if I'm standing at my back door, that buffer's going to start about here. And where's the water going to go? That's my biggest concern. We have now created a dam behind our homes.
Okay, you send me an email, I'll get that question answered, but
Thank you.
you do have a buffer. By our land development code, they have to put that buffer in. And I have went over. I've been over a couple of times. But I will stress that to our planning department. But I promise you, there is a buffer going in by our, by the land development code. And then, like I said, after the buffer, you have a retention pond, and then 190 feet before the storage. Water. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Development paper that you gave us, does it have, include properties that are undeveloped or currently trying to get rezoned?
That's all the property that has. That, the paper I gave you that has been approved. I can tell you, west of I-95, there is not much property that there is that's available. Thank you. I couldn't get the word out. Okay, I can tell you there is a property over in Bayberry where they want a church, and that's actually a good project. Bayberry wants it, Mosa Mosaic wants it. They've been meeting for church at Champion Elementary for the last 5 years. I think the congregation has 2 services, and it's only 280 people, and most of the people that go to that church walk. So you're not going to see a lot of cars, and actually it's pretty much zoned, it's zoned for retail, so 7-Eleven could be there, so. And then the. Right. Well, that's what I'm telling you. You have that, you have the city land I told you about with Rayners Park, but there, and then the LPGA golf course, which I explained to you that, and then about the Senate bill on that as well. I know, that's why,
Just have one created. We'll just, same thing you did with that, just have staff create the same thing that you're asking for. So you know, because it's much of nothing, but we want you to know, I'd like to know myself.
Another question, for golf and, Tomoka Consolidated, I believe that's who they purchased the golf course from. To confirm that something other than golf can go on the property.
and I just explained that to you back there. Okay, the zoning and the land that was used to establish for that property and the DRI was in 1995, which I just explained to you on there, that the comprehension plan for the retail and office transition has to match the zoning. And the zoning, by state statute, we would, if a developer came to us and said, oh, we want it zoned for mixed use office we would have to approve that. And that's where the Senate Bill 102 could come in, and someone could build affordable housing on that part of the land. Now, I told you, speaking with HOA presidents and the developer and the guy that owns the golf course, they were allowed up to, I think it was 504. Let me find that.
I understand too that
Okay.
practice hole number one was rezoned years and years ago. There's
Yes.
nothing to be done about that. But and I might be missing something here. My question is, when Ford Golf signed on the dotted line and they purchased 2 golf courses and that practice facility, was there anything in their purchase agreement that specifically stated they had to use golf for golf? Meaning they could not.
No, I was told no. No, I mean, there couldn't, right, but there couldn't be when you have part of this land that's already, the comprehension plan is for retail and office transition. And like I said, they are allowed up to 504 units, which we have negotiated. They did not, a lot of the residents here did not want the townhomes, the 54 townhomes. They have lowered it to 35 single-family homes, and that, it would be up here, of course, and then down here, 109 single-family lots. And then, that's a lot better than the 504. And then, like I said, over here, where the retail, you can have the pocket park, or we can leave it undeveloped land, which would be in the PD, and no one could ever develop on that land, ever. So that would be up to you guys to decide that. Plus, I was told a lot of phases, like I just told you, that they wanted this to be done in phases. The developer has agreed to that, but to be honest with you, like I said, you're not looking for development for at least 2.5 years in the first place.
And then my last question I asked earlier is back to the park. Development on that, you have a certain percentage of the trees that go in that.
Like I told you on that, that will come before the commission, should come before the commission. I gotta remember all these dates. December of 2023 to January 2024. That's where we will be asking for your input, what you guys would like to see on that park. Like I said, my personal input and some of the residents I've been speaking to, we want bike trails too. But everybody has a different input, so we will be listening to all of you. Can you take the mic?
Just two quick questions, if I may.
Yes.
First off, back to the Grayhawk area and the construction that they're going to throw in there. 35 homes is better than the 54. However, they have everything dumping out onto Champions Drive. In your negotiations, I would like you at least to look to see why they can't put that entrance down onto International Golf Park Drive. Two reasons. Number one, Champions Drive is busier than heck because of people coming and going for the golf course, in addition to the people that live there. Secondly, they go in to build 35 homes. The construction trucks are going to totally destroy Champions Drive. Entering from the other side would reduce that to a minimum.
Okay, I will actually talk to them. And like I said, this is not the required meeting, but you also, when you have that required meeting, I'm not sure when he's planning on scheduling that, stress that as well, but I will stress it for you too. You're welcome. The guy in the red shirt, I keep telling him.
Thank you. I'm Brian Carroll. I'm on Joy L Circle.
Okay,
I don't know where this fits in, but it fits in seriously with families on Joy L. And I keep looking at what's being developed here, and I have a major concern for water. My house and the backside of Joy L on
are you talking about the Timber Creek project?
well, yeah, I mean, it all affects.
Yeah, and actually, the Timber Creek, get to that. Okay, where you're at, I believe you have a easement there that can't be developed at all.
Right behind my house, to me, it's marsh.
And I think there-
But on the other side of the marsh to Mendoza, there's a pond. And today, when we have storms, whatever, the last recent one, which was the worst one of all, of course, all those ponds drain from pond to pond to pond to pond and end up in the pond at Mendoza. Mendoza Pond goes nowhere. And when Mendoza Pond fills, the people on Mendoza, it does not bother their homes because their land is probably 6 to 8 feet higher. On the opposite side where the marsh is, at which I have the marsh, and then it comes to my backyard, the water in the pond overflows into the marsh and comes up. I had water in the last storm within 3 feet of my house. Yes, and Mendoza
Yes.
did as well. I understand that.
And that, you do have a retention pond going in over on Mendoza. So you send me an email. I
But you
will-
don't have, but you're not looking after, this is not looking after the end of Joy L. We had water all the way up Joy L past my house on the road.
I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
You send me an email, my card's back there, I will get the answer you need for that.
I mean, the water in my backyard was 4 foot deep.
Because this is the first I'm hearing
No,
what you're telling me,
I've complained
so
about this
I'm
before,
listening to you.
and I was told by Renard that we have nothing to do with that. You have to get a hold of the city. And it says right in here, Renard's the owner. I don't understand what's going on.
Okay, I will get your answer for you. It's the first I'm hearing about that. I've talked to actually one of your neighbors back there, and I didn't have that concern. Right, so she didn't have that concern, she had a different concern. Right here.
Hi, Stacy. If we can go back to the golf villas. Two things. Just one to understand. We're on Lytham Way, which is going to be right across from it. When did the zoning occur that allow residential use of those practice holes?
Like I had told you,
I just want to be crystal clear about how that happened.
like I had told you, the DRI in 1990.
What does DRI mean?
And actually, I knew I was going to get asked that. Developments of regional impact. So we were told in 1995, that's when that took place.
That allows residential.
That allows office transition and retail. And residential, yes. Shouldn't they have notified everybody that was involved? I don't think any, people maybe surrounding then, I wasn't there in 1995, I don't know what they did in
Well,
1995.
There was nothing there in 95.
I mean, I
So,
know our planning has only been there 15
Yeah.
years, they had to go back as well.
so second thing is, do you know why they're willing to give up the practice course for this development? Because the practice course is, there are people on it every day, all day, every day.
So, I'm not the developer, I'm not the guy that owns the golf course. What we've been told by the owner of the golf course, he wants to do more improvements to the golf course. This is what I've been told.
You said improvements?
Improvements. And I know we have a few here that has been negotiating. Do you mind if I say your name? Okay. Carol Killian has been negotiating and talking to the owner of the golf course. He has made some improvements to the golf course, but this is what he's saying, he needs the money to make the improvements, to make the golf course better. But, and like I said, I'm not telling you guys what to do, but I can tell you, if you don't want to negotiate, I can tell you that this and this, a developer can come in at any time and build affordable housing, and it does not come before the commission.
Right, but you understand, if you go to the next slide, the one that shows the 109 houses. So right now, we purchased our home because of the amazing view. We were not told it was zoned for residential, so in 2.5, 3 years, our view is gonna be 109 single-family homes. So I'm
And-
curious how that's going to make the golf course better.
And this is what is allowed. 504.
But it,
And
right,
I mean, I'm here, I'll
I
take the
understand
blame,
that.
but
No,
I
don't
did
take
not
the blame.
approve this, I'm
And
just
then
saying.
my other comment is the gentleman, I get his concern back there with the 35 single homes and the traffic on Champions, and he wants it routed to international. I will tell you, I would rather have 35 homes with traffic than 109 with traffic. Plus, we've got the golf course, the main thing. Plus, we have all of those townhouses and apartments next to the main golf house. Plus, down Burkdale, at the end of Burkdale now, we've got that development.
You don't have to
Hundreds
tell
of
me,
homes.
I do know.
But we have,
But, and I do understand.
but I do have to tell
And
you,
I do
because you said you
understand.
would go and fight for him to reroute that, well, I just want you to know, please fight for us too, because if I had a choice between 109 single-family homes in traffic versus 35, I would rather have the 35 than 109, plus everything else going on around
Okay.
us.
And like I said, originally, this was gonna be 54 townhomes. It was brought down to 35 single-family. He's now doing 109 single-family lots, which is allowed up to 504. And he is not negotiating anymore because then it would not be profit for him to actually do any lower than this.
And I get what you're saying, but
right.
unfortunately,
But I
my
will
concern
stress-
is not the
I will
profit of the
stress your
developer.
concerns, but also you will have a required meeting with the developer and the attorney, and that's the time to stress your concerns as well.
And that's the other thing, how do we get notified? Because this meeting here, the only way the three of us knew about it was because I emailed you directly and you told us about it. We didn't hear from,
The lawyers are required to send out a note.
the
so you
last
will.
meeting, we got it the day before.
Okay, well, you can also, that's another thing.
So we're just trying to find out, our HOA
Okay,
doesn't do anything,
wait
we
a
don't
minute,
get
wait a minute.
notifications.
There's pamphlets back there, I did bring our mobile app, you can keep up and download that. There's numbers here, you can email me like you did before, and, because and if you go to our city Facebook page, they also announce it, it's usually announced in the paper as well.
Okay, so just for the record, people love that practice course.
Okay.
And the community loves it, we love watching it. It's, you know,
just-
I understand they're trying to raise money for other things.
Can we do
but-
GoFundMe and we'll help raise the money for him to beautify his golf course?
I just wanted to tell everybody that you can go to the city's website. There's an area where you can sign up for notification of public meetings. Put your email address in there, they'll notify you of a specific area that you
That's
want.
what I just gave them back there.
I also want to say that I have been in touch with all of the HOAs, and if you have not gotten something either you haven't signed up for one of their websites, which they have, because we've been sending out this information from Stacy for 3 months. And I'm sorry you didn't get the information. You need to call your HOA president and. Well, find out which area do you live in? Well, Master Glen is here. Yeah, Solaris. It's Solaris.
We're one of the OGs of that development. We've been there since 2007. We're the OGs of that neighborhood. We've been there since 2007.
OG? Oh, right.
Original gangsters, sorry. Of Masters.
We're supposed to know that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Gee.
It's slang. But anyways, I apologize for that. But they've had our email since 2007, and then once the HOA members changed, the email addresses never forwarded.
Then to everybody here, please find out which section that you're in, which HOA section that you are in, and call them, call that management company yourself. Because we have been putting out this information to everybody for months. And if you haven't gotten it, then I'm sorry, it's probably your own fault.
And I can tell you, there's people that don't live in LPGA that got the message. It was all over social media. Okay, right there in blue.
Thank you for having this meeting. I appreciate it very much. I do have a couple of specific questions and then a couple of general comments.
Yes,
One
ma'am.
specific question is, do you know where the church is planned to be located?
Yes, that's actually in the Bayberry community, and it was part of the Bayberry plan all along, part of the zoning, which could have a 7-Eleven or something, yes.
So it's on LPGA,
Yes,
At the-
in Bayberry, yes.
by the tennis courts?
Correct.
And the other specific question was on the location of Dunn Avenue and where exactly that's going to come in. So is
My
that going to,
paper's
is that
falling.
going to intersect with
Okay,
Champions Drive?
So Dunn Extension, we west of I-95 to Mocha Farms Road, overpass the east to LPGA Boulevard.
So is it going to go through LPGA neighborhood to get to LPGA Drive?
No, no.
It's going to go, okay.
Correct.
Because there have been different plans for that over time, so
Okay, no.
it's not been clear. So I also was going to emphasize the issue about traffic through the neighborhood on the construction, because anybody who walks around in the neighborhood in the morning knows that there is extreme traffic with stuff flying off the back of construction trucks, and it's hazardous to bicyclists and squirrels and people walking.
I have received many, many emails regarding the construction, dust, everything. We do send your emails over to permit and licensing and code enforcement. They do check out every one of them. So if you having a problem in a certain area, send it over to me and I will forward it over to the appropriate person. The man in the blue shirt.
I was recently told there's going to be a new Publix on LPGA and ISB. Is there any truth to that?
I have not heard of a new Publix on, no. Okay.
I just heard it
No.
recently. Okay.
I heard there is a Costco coming, which I'm very happy and excited about. And that's over in One Daytona property.
Right.
But no. No.
Thank you.
And I know I'm happy. I live in Pelican Bay and we got a new Publix being built on Bevel. Actually, I was told by the end of June, beginning of July, and I am so excited. Right there in the black jacket.
Just one thing, Masters Glen's missing from the list,
Is it?
a whole subdivision, yeah, just as a note. And the second question would be, who is going to own the ground that the cell tower is on? Is that owned by the town or the city, or
Who's gonna?
who owns
we,
the ground where the cell tower is going
The
to be?
cell phone, the city owns it. It's on It's on Fire Station, the Daytona Beach Fire Station property.
Are we going to get, I mean, where I'm from, an individual person can actually, if they want to sell their ground to a cell tower or a town or a community, and they rent the space to all these carriers, are we going to make
Well,
any?
we have that taken care
Okay,
of.
good.
Like I told you, I've talked to all the carriers in Tallahassee when this development started to try to get all of them on board. I do have them all on board. And like I said, the construction has started. We put an RFP out to Diamonds, the contractor. They have started the construction, digging the hole, 60 foot for the pole. And the tower's gonna be about 180 feet tall. So I'm ready, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are ready.
The development that's currently being built that comes in at the end of Burkdale in Masters Glen, aside from just leveling every living thing that was green and had bark on it, they really did a number on that course.
And I'm gonna have to,
Recently,
I'm
they've
sorry to
taken-
interrupt
okay.
you, but I'm gonna have to check on that master plan, because it might be on there. Some of the developers, when they come in, they change their
Change the
names.
names?
Yes, so it could be on there, but you have my card back there, send me an email,
it.
and I will double check for you.
Okay. In the last few days, they've cleared trees between where this new development's going and the water treatment plant. And it's, well, other than an eyesore, it's a nose sore. And I think with the hotter days coming, it's going to be a little ripe. So I don't know if they're planning on doing a buffer or something. I mean, I don't know how you block out stink, but
Okay. You go next.
Stacy, you were saying that there's a possibility of a 7-Eleven coming in. I asked you this last time we met.
Yes, I got an update today on that for you. It's not approved yet. It's just been in the works talking about that. But yes, there could be a 7-Eleven coming in.
Will it have gas pumps?
I was told yes.
Why? I mean, we have a Buc-ee's, we have, so it'll be four
I
corners
know,
with
I hear you.
5 gas stations. Like, why? Why? I just don't understand.
I
that
hear
one.
you, but it's allowed. But it's not for sure as well if a 7-Eleven is coming in.
Okay, and if.
And like I told you, I'm gonna go over this one more time so everybody can catch it.
Well, I just was looking
Big-
for the location. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, Big Dan's Car Wash.
Yeah.
There's rumor of Heartland Dental, but I heard that might not happen. Starbucks over by the 300, I think, how many units? 344 something units. Florida Healthcare, we know about the storage behind Mendoza, and O'Reilly Auto Parts, and possibly a 7-Eleven. What the developers do. No, believe me, people are coming in. Yes. The man right here. I don't know, not for Tomoka Village, I haven't heard.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, actually, I think there is a McDonald's coming in. Yes.
my question is regarding the golf courses. The city developed the LPGA, and is there a covenant, or was there a covenant that those golf courses will remain as golf courses?
Okay. What I think you're saying, the rest of the golf course will remain as golf course. That is the land use.
Yeah.
But the part that I was talking about can be developed.
Including the practice facility?
Yes. Let me go back. right here and over in here. No. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take a few questions. I'm going to take this question and then take a couple online.
I just want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you keep track of the agenda for the planning board and the city commission, then you're going to have an idea of when these things are coming up, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's one way
Everything,
you
yes.
can kind of keep involved and know what's
Everything
happening.
goes through planning board before it comes to the city commission. And then when it comes before the city commission, you have the first reading and then you have second reading. And first reading is just read into the minutes. So you can keep track, you can go to the planning board, stress your concerns as well. Can we get a couple questions online? I don't want to forget about them.
Why are we developing on things that we were approved 2 decades ago and without some review process?
Because it's allowed. I mean, that's the only answer I really can give you. They don't have to come back. Okay. I'll take about 2 more questions and let the mayor speak to you guys. Do you?
All right. Talked about the cutout on Champions for the 35 homes. Could you address a new exit possibly at the end of Champion where Greyhawk 2 is going in onto LPGA?
You can address anything right now.
Did I miss
because-
that? Did I miss something else again? Because
Well, we can address that. I mean, we can address anything right now
but I
because
mean-
the required meeting has not happened yet. So anything you want is always, we can address, it
this
just
doesn't have to
depends.
do with the villas, so that's not a required meeting. I'm talking about on LPGA, where Greyhawk 2 is now building at the end of Champions, there is no entrance or
No,
exit at the end of those houses.
No, we can't. That's already done, right.
Okay, don't.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the golf course.
But it looks like there is.
Okay, one more question? Yes, ma'am?
And all your efforts. What is, sorry. Thank you, Stacy, for having this meeting and all your efforts. We really appreciate what you're doing, trying to do for our community. What exactly is being dug up at the entrance in LPGA? And Champion and LPGA, what is being dug up? Is that part of the cell tower?
No, the cell telephone tower is
know.
on fire station. I haven't even
Right at
looked
the
at it.
entrance, right at our entrance. LPGA and Champion. By the
LPGA and
fountain,
Champion.
by
Do
the
you know what it
fountain.
is?
Could be relay and stuff for the tower. It could be, you know, other structures.
And, yeah.
Retention, you think? You know what, to get my card, because I haven't wrote out there and looked, get my card and email me, and I will definitely find out for you. Okay,
One quick one.
Yes, ma'am.
What's happening at the end of Greyhawk, where you've got this Greyhawk development? At the end of Champions, it's just Greyhawk. And there's all these flags up there now. First, I thought you said they went bankrupt and they weren't going to do anything. And now there's all these flags.
Okay, I never said nothing about bankrupt.
Okay, well, somebody
Sorry,
did.
I
Somebody
never-
thought that was what was happening.
And I
So-
will have to check, because I don't know why the flags is probably surveying, I couldn't tell you.
Is it going forward? That's the question. Are they
Yes.
going to build? They are, okay.
Are they marked? Yeah, I
And
haven't
is,
seen it,
is that
sorry.
the park that you have on here, is that the Rayner Park that's going to be right on LPGA?
Off LPGA and tournament, yes, ma'am.
It's not the same, you've got a park right across from where the clubhouse is now. On one of those slides, you've got a park.
No, that's where I was discussing with you. Yes, the developer said they would propose a pocket park there, or you had the option of undeveloped land. So that would be up to you, which I had stressed to you that a pocket park, but it's up to you, not my decision, is always nice because you cannot, by state law, no sex offenders within 1,000 feet, it's almost 3 football fields. And then with Rayner's Park, you kind of be completely covered, just like Bayberry did. They have one in the front and one in the back. And I know at a previous meeting, there were some concerns about people from other communities coming. I doubt it. The Bayberry doesn't have that problem. Actually, half the time, there's no one in those parks. So,
Thank you.
and there was one thing I didn't mention too, integrated. Actually, that development, if you notice right now off 92 and Grand Champion, there's a light signal, a traffic signal. Integrated paid for that $1.2 million for that traffic signal. It should, I know it's gonna be 30 days flashing, and that should start happening here real soon, and then it will go in effect. But that was a good, Integrated didn't have to do that, so I'm actually really surprised that was done, and that was something that was much needed. Okay,
one question I'm sorry if I missed it, but I didn't hear an answer as to why the new Greyhawk community cannot enter and exit LPGA.
Because there's a cul-de-sac.
I mean, the cul-de-sac ends almost at LPGA.
I'm not even familiar with that.
What it's going to be.
It is a cul-de-sac. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. There should be they should go out LPGA.
Okay, so I'm done with questions. We've been here. Oh, we got one more on Zoom? Okay, we'll take one.
Question. What is the big concrete structure being built right in front of the LPGA North entrance?
That's something where we just had that question. We're not sure. Send me an email at Cantu, C-A-N-T-U, Stacy, S-T-A-C-Y, @codb.us. Okay, and the other question, okay, so I'm gonna let the mayor do a little talking here. I've done enough talking.
The city manager says, I took a group of parks and recreation teammates to Polk County today. They got an image of what we could have. I knew you were taking them there because someone told me, but that's a good idea. That's good to see that because I would like to be known as the mayor who was most concerned about parks. That's something that I find to be of great importance in our community. And so if you travel around the city, you will see that over the last 5, 8, 6 years, almost all of our parks have been remarkably redone with grand imagery, just totally redone and in much better shape. And so I was riding along and I realized that, we don't have a park. And the last city manager and I started a discussion about a park here. Then the current city manager and I really ratcheted up that conversation. And then once we started talking about it during the commission meeting, this young lady wisely looked at the land, understood the land better than I ever would have, and made a wise purchase to help us have what I think, depending on how much money we can spend. And for me, it's going to be, I want to make it, as nice a park as we possibly can. And certainly we want to keep as many trees as we possibly can for both reasons, for both environmental, but also for shade and just for a good experience. But we do have to have amenities for young people in there. You need the old things that kids do in a park. You need a basketball court. You need, I think, probably, as opposed to tennis, what's that other game that we're playing now? Pickles. But I think we need both of those because we do want it to be kid and adult friendly. One of the things that I've tried to do in our community centers is to make them useful for both parties. There's a philosophy where some people like to build senior citizen facilities. Not me. I like to build community centers that bring young people, middle-aged people, and senior citizens together so that we can truly be one community. How is it that my 10-year-old is going to learn how to interact with senior citizens if he only interacts with his grandparents and the little old lady that sits at the end of our church bench? They have to be, we all have to engage and interact with one another. So the same is true with the parks. I think it would be much to our benefit if we made a pocket park, and for the reason that she described earlier, it's important as it relates to sexual predators, and you have to have them within every so much distance. And the more parks that we have, the better. My ultimate goal, the measure of a good city is that you live within a 10 minutes walk of a park. That should be an objective, that we can all walk to a park in 10, 15 minutes at the max, because we want to walk, because we want people to be encouraged when you think about all of the metrics of a great city. And we recently, many people wonder how we arrived in the top 50, and over the last 5 years, we have dropped 50 spots in USA ranking. I think it was USA Today ranking in terms of cities most desirous to live in. And there's a lot of reasons that we've done those things that we don't often acknowledge, and parks would be one. A healthcare system, we have 2 first-rate hospitals in our community, would be another. The newer amenities that we are experiencing that make living in our community better. Now, do we have some of the, traditional problems of a urban community? Of course we do. I mean, we are a city of almost 80,000 people, but we're also a city that has an average daily of probably almost double that, which means that we're actually a lot larger than 80,000 people. So when you look at the crime rate, it's going to typically reflect that, especially when you are a tourism destination with almost 10 million people coming to our city annually. And while some of us might be new to Daytona Beach, and all of us who live in LPGA, when they zoned it the way that they did that so that they would be able to attract people to develop it. So they gave them enormous incentives and what we try to do is to whittle that down to make it more manageable and reasonable. But at the end of the day, because of what's already been approved, they could always make it something 100 times worse than what we approve. Now, most times they don't want to do that. They want to work with us because it's to their benefit also to work with us. And I realize as it relates to the golf course, I'd hate to see any of it changed. That's my objective, to not see any of it changed. But the reality is that the portion that cannot be changed is the portion that we once controlled, I should say. we had a say in that as a city. When we sold our rights or our portion to Consolidated, we ensured that that portion wouldn't be changed for anything other than a golf course. Which, I'm not a golfer, but I moved to a golfing community for a reason, because it's where I wanted to live, and that's sort of a community with that outdoor feel and outdoor environment. Now I'm having my 10-year-old to learn how to golf. I want him to be able to get on his bike, strap his clubs on, and ride around the corner and practice. So part of the community and a part of the lifestyle that we all, we pretty much chose to reside in. But I would say that we would not have had Publix if we didn't approve Margaritaville. So we get a lot of complaints about a lot of the development, but some things that we want aren't going to come if you don't allow for others. Now, did I want LPGA to be developed prior to that? Of course I did. Of course we talked to the county about it over and over and over. But at the end of the day, they controlled it. And we as leaders, we learned a little bit about that. I made the conscious decision when I knew that they were going to bring a Publix. I said, well, that's one that I'm not going to hold up. Because even with the traffic, I really knew how much we wanted that and needed it. And my children would agree, it's been the number one thing of all the things that are out here, and that includes Dave and Buster's, that they even most enjoy because they like the free cookie. But we did learn, as it relates to recently what happened out on 415, we made a little more demand of the developers. And someone asked earlier about the golf, why would they want to do that? Well, they want to do it because it's more profitable. It's just the reality of it. We have to live with developers. I'm not opposed to them, but I am, I'm more about our quality of life as well. But I realize that they sometimes go hand in hand, because there are some developments that we want to make to enhance our quality of life. So I want to close on this thought. Thank our commissioner, because she's my commissioner. I think that she does a remarkable job of dealing with the details and the nuances of what can be some complex issues. And there's not one that she doesn't take her time and get any answer that you want. I often refer to her as a pit bull, because she's ferocious about issues that relate to our community. I'm appreciative. I've been mayor for almost 12 years now, and this is the best commission that I've had, in large part because I have all of my commissioners do their jobs. And when they do their jobs, it makes my job a lot easier, because I represent the entire city, and a lot of times people will skip their commissioner and just come to me, and it's hard for me to know the nuances of every neighborhood in the same way that a commissioner would. I try to look at the bigger picture of the city, and then I also try to support what the commissioner says. Even though this is my neighborhood, I'm very proud of the work that she does to represent us.
Thank you, Mayor. How much do I owe you for that?
Thank you.
Well, won't you tell them, since we're setting in a police station as well, will you challenge the chief and we are the highest police?
Have
the
the-
highest paid
Oh,
agency?
yeah.
It was you that did that.
Yeah. I challenged our city manager and our police chief. We were down maybe 50 officers about a year ago, and you can't, if you're supposed to have 250 officers and you want to be a safe community, you need to be able to have 250 officers. Well, we couldn't, because we couldn't hire enough. And so I challenged the city manager and the police chief to come up with a way to make certain that we could, attract more. And together, they came up with a proposal that came before us where we made our police and our fire the highest paid in Volusia County based on the challenge. And the commission, and those are the things that I try to lead the commission towards. And that's why I say it's important for the commission to deal with the nuances. The bigger issues like that, which affects the entire city, are things that I try to drive. And the manager and the police chief came back, and our police are the best paid, and they should be, because they work the hardest. Our firefighters work the hardest. They work harder than the entire county. It's not even close. So because of that, we're now probably 15 or 20 officers short, which is a remarkable recovery in 1 year, and we're on our way to being fully staffed. And after we're fully staffed, then we will have to begin a discussion about how many more we will need. But I've said get fully staffed first, 2 reasons, because our population has increased, but it's not the same. So in other words, the newer pockets of Daytona Beach should not need as many police as the older pockets. And I know that might not sound fair, but it's the truth. And it also means that as we grow and become a bigger city, that part of the reason that we have to have 2.5 times the police force in cities our size is because of the number of people that we attract. So the scale should go down. We shouldn't have to increase by the amount of our population, if you follow what I'm saying. And so that's our goal, is that but we want to make sure that everybody has the resources to do what they need to do. But we're very proud of this facility, proud of our officers, and if there's ever anything that you all think that we need to be doing as a community to make our neighborhood, and that means the west side or any parts of our community better, just tell us. Because that's what we are here to do, is to try to make it a better community overall. Thank you.
I wanted to mention one other thing. I know no one asked me, but I get asked this quite often about Avalon. Everybody says 10,000 units were approved. If you look on the map, only 3,250 units were approved. I have had meetings with Biot, the owner of Avalon, the developer out in Orlando. Yes, he would like to do 10,000 units, but he has told me he's in no hurry. And he said it's going to be a 10 to 20-year span. Now, everybody talks about Timber Creek. I know Margaritaville does quite often. I go there once a month, and they want that built out to 40. That is a county road, and that's going to depend on county and how fast Avalon actually builds out. So I just want everyone to know. And then there was rumors at one time about Tournament going through. That is not happening, but everything changes. I mean, it could change next month, but as of right now, that's not happening. So I just wanted to clear that up as well. And I thank everybody for coming. And I want to be a politician and want a picture. So will you guys stay here for 1 second?